Hi everyone, in this video I'm going to be shooting wildlife photography at the equivalent of 2000mm. So you're probably wondering, how do I get to 2000mm? Well, let me explain. So, how do I get to 2000mm equivalent focal length? Well, this is the OM-150 to 400mm f4.5 lens, and it has a built-in 1.25 teleconverter, and this gives me a 500mm at f5.6. I can then add the Olympus MC20 2x teleconverter, which gives me an effective focal length of 1000mm at f11. Then, if you factor in the 2x crop factor of the micro four thirds sensor, that gives the same equivalent reach as a 2000mm lens on a 35mm camera. But looking around on social media and here on YouTube, I can't see many people trying out this setup. And the few places where people have tried it, there seems to be mixed opinions. So in this video, I will see if this combination works. So I'm here at Rainer Marshes. Lots of opportunities hopefully to photograph birds and other wildlife. Let's see how I get on. The first thing I saw was this buzzard high in the sky. A lot of shots were soft, as there was a fair bit of atmospheric disturbance and heat haze. Well, I'm in the Ken Barrett hide now. I've taken a few shots. This teal was taken without the internal teleconverter, so at the equivalent of 1600mm, but I turned it on for this second shot at the full 2000. Towards the back of the pool was some gadwall, but these shots were not as clear. However, this shoveler swam in front of the teal and I got some nice shots, including this close-up, which I've cropped to portrait. Outside the hide, a flock of long-tailed tits flew past, and this is the best shot I got of one of them. Walking along the back of the reserve, there wasn't too much to see, until I found this migrant hawker dragonfly perched up. This shot is taken at near minimum focus distance, but it was still just over a metre away. A bit further along, near the dragonfly pools, I found a stone chat. The day before when I visited, we found some wind chat here, and they were here again. They were 40 metres away, so the heat haze made most of the shots soft, but a few came out. On the previous visit from this spot, I saw a buzzard land in a tree 80 metres away, and I still managed to get these shots. Next stop was the Marshland Discovery Zone. There was little here that day, but the day before when I visited, there was a kingfisher. And after getting this shot through the glass, I ran outside and got this shot, taken without the teleconverter. Then I quickly put on the 2x teleconverter and got this shot. Now, it's not a perfect comparison, as I underexposed both images, the one with the teleconverter more. Plus, for that teleconverter image, the light had dropped a bit as the sun went behind a cloud. So it's not a direct comparison. But that said, after putting them both through Lightroom and Topaz Denoise, the one with the 2x teleconverter still had similar levels of detail as the one without, but of course had twice the resolution to play with. Our stop was the Purfleet hide, and there was a little egret hunting out front. Heat haze was a big issue again, but I got a few sharp shots. At one point, the egret caught a dragonfly, but a combination of the heat haze and the autofocus not quite locking on through the reeds meant it wasn't sharp. I did clean it up in Topaz Sharpen AI, but it's not as good as an actually truly sharp shot. This heron suffered from the heat haze too, but when the cloud came over, the heat dropped, and the shots were much better. And I managed an in-flight shot of the cattle egret, so the setup does work on birds in flight too. So what's the conclusion? Well, it was surprisingly good in many cases. There were some downsides though. It obviously wasn't as sharp as without the teleconverter. Just look at this picture of a lesser white throat I got. This is heavily cropped and there's still lots more detail than when I've used a teleconverter. There are a few other downsides. Obviously you're stuck at f11, so you need a higher ISO and a bright day. The autofocus was definitely more sluggish and less accurate, especially the bird AI autofocus, that seemed to struggle too. And of course heat haze. That issue, of course, will be much worse on the bright days, which you'll need to make this setup work well. So that's a bit of a pain. And I imagine if there was a misty or slightly foggy day, it wouldn't do very well then too. So, will I be using this setup? Do you know what? I think I will. Not all the time. I think I'll probably avoid using a teleconverter if I can, but that's kind of standard practice when you're doing wildlife photography. You're going to lose a bit of sharpness. I do think that the pictures that are taken with the teleconverter, most of the time, provided you didn't have any heat haze and stuff, were better quality than if I just cropped them. So it's going to depend. Like I say, I'll probably avoid it if I can, but I will do some more testing, I think, as well, first of all, before I make my final decision. A couple of things I didn't really try. I didn't try many shots without the internal teleconverter on, so it might work better at 1600mm with just the 2x and just the lens without the internal tele. I didn't try the 1.4 teleconverter. That might work better. That would give me the equivalent of 1400mm, so still give me a bit more of an advantage. In an upcoming video, I'm going to test it for video. That is where I think it's going to work really well. I could use it as an extreme telephoto, almost macro lens. In fact, I'm pretty sure it's getting close to 1:1 on this migrant hawker dragonfly. You can see the compound in the eye. And I also want to try testing this setup at some wildlife hotspots where you can get a lot closer to the wildlife and see how that comes out. I suspect without the atmospheric disturbance, this setup is going to look a lot better. Now, the ability to zoom in and out was handy. I've used this teleconverter with the 300mm prime, and the problem is that you're stuck zoomed in at maximum focal length. If something comes too close, you can't zoom out to reframe it. If you've got this lens and you've tested out the teleconverters with it, please do leave a comment below and let me know what you found, what you think of it. And I've got lots more videos coming up on nature photography, wildlife filmmaking, and just general British wildlife videos as well. So do subscribe if that appeals to you, and give us a like if you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching.